But I mean, how do we know he's a brilliant man? I'm just asking.
You know what? You don't actually get to the head of an institution like that without being very, very smart.
Enron?
Enron's different. That was privately owned. Here's the point. The point is that now I think we all understand that we have reason not to trust the smartest guy in the room because his interests are very different than our interests if we believe in markets and if we believe that taxpayers should not be bailing out investment bankers, which I think almost everybody except a certain, part of the political class believes.
Right.
The corporate class.
Right.
The corporate class, people who've taken money from
and isn't
banks.
one of the problems is that it's very hard to get some of the big players on board with this plan because they already have their money. They're already rich. So when you say to them, play ball with us, they say, well, you know what? I'll play ball on my terms, but if not, I've already got a yacht. I'll just walk away, and I'll go sulk and sit on my yacht, and you can...
That's the other way, too. If in fact, this crisis is as represented, and let's assume it is, the day those banks shut down, the day you can't get credit, it's people who actually live on their incomes who are screwed, and people with millions can go off on their yachts. So
I think people get that. I mean, I think it's interesting that both the Democrats and the Republicans are against the Bush deal. It shows where Bush is. I mean, if Bush is for it, everybody goes, this must be a colossal pig fuck.
I think the final deal will look a lot more like Bush's deal than it looked like this morning.
But you have to admit that the $700 billion that they originally said we needed for this was just a number they pulled out of their ass.
And a 3.5-page bill. I mean, on our website, votenader.org, we take it apart, and we have the proposal that we think helps consumers, taxpayers, and workers. But you don't get any congressional hearings on that. This is a huge power grab by King George IV, ripping the Constitution out by its roots in Congress and saying, give me a $700 billion blank check. Let me do whatever I want. Don't let me ever be overridden by the courts. Shut up, members of Congress, and go back to your hustings. Well, they're going to get a revolt when they go back home, I'll tell you.
But any time a salesman says, you have to take this deal right now, you know you're being screwed.
But the other side of that is when you open it up to Congress, as Henry Reid said, what's his name?
Harry Reid.
Harry Reid, sorry, said this
Democratic
afternoon
Majority
on
Leader.
CNN, as he said, Bernanke and Paulson don't understand that we, members of Congress, have to actually take care of our constituents, which sounds good. And on the other hand, that's how all these bills get larded up with all the giveaways instead of whatever clean bill you can get out of it. So it's just not, it's not so clear. It's, it's a little bit more convoluted. I was interested in the debate to hear Barack Obama immediately attempt to turn this into Wall Street versus Main Street. One thing I think we've all learned this week is that Wall Street and Main Street are so integrally tied together that you don't, that's not a useful formulation.
You mean it's Wall Street having Main Street and Elm Street by the neck and says, see, you got to save us because we got them by the neck.
I agree. I mean, this is kind of like the triumph of Reaganomics, this trickle-down idea where you give a lot of money to these smart guys on Wall Street and eventually it'll find its way into the rest of the economy and everybody will be fine. Well, guess what? No, the smart guys had all the money and they blew it.
The Reaganomics was that the rich guys make the money and it trickles down because of goods and services moving around because the money exists.
Lisa, the only real capitalists left in America are small businesses because they got the freedom to fail and go bankrupt. But if you're a big, giant business, you can get bailed out by Washington. Socialism in Washington bailing out capitalism in Wall Street. And these guys, Bill, these guys are so greedy, these corporate capitalists in Wall Street, that when the history is written of this, it's going to be titled The Corporate Destruction of Capitalism.
It does seem like we are getting the...
Karl Marx warned about that.
Yeah, right. Listen to this.
Marx warned about that. And everybody understands that businessmen are not the same thing as as advocates for free market capitalism. Businessmen are always greedy, and you need people with more principle.
But
like the House Republicans.
But it does seem that a country
in
that's so afraid of the word socialism now is getting a lot of socialism, but we're getting only the bad parts of socialism.
The taxes.
We're not getting like Sweden has socialism, but they also have universal health care, and everybody goes to college, and they'll do your laundry for you, like in the Michael Moore movie. It seems like we only are getting the shitty parts of socialism.
No, actually, I hear they're printing bumper stickers on Wall Street which read, "We're all socialists now."
All right, let me ask you a question about politics.
Ralph, I never thought we had this much in common.
Tell them what Karl Marx said, Lisa. No, I want the National Review to tell. It's very predictive. Go ahead.
I know.
You give them enough rope,
they'll hang themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's...
So
let's hope it's made of industrial hemp.
on the political. On the political front, don't you think, just politically, economic crisis plus Sarah Palin was a scary thing for America? I know America a month ago fell in love with Sarah Palin, and then they realized, wait a second, I can't figure this out, and she's going to. I hate. I've been avoiding using the word bimbo, but come on, she's a bimbo. A bimbo. Am I wrong?
That is really cruel. That is really cruel.
Listen, it's accurate.
No, she is not a bimbo. She's actually,
what
she's not is a Harvard graduate. She's somebody who's learned it the hard way, and she's working class.
She hasn't learned it.
She ran a state. You know what?
She hasn't run a state.
I saw a great little YouTube skit where some woman came out imitating Palin and said, "I didn't get to be the governor of Alaska by eating moose burgers and popping out babies."
Yeah, she did.
She did,
because the moronic voters of Alaska, just like the moronic voters all over the country, like that. They don't vote on any criteria that matters in really running a government. That's how she got to be the governor of Alaska, because they liked her. I like her. I like her family. She seems like me. Yeah, a moron.
You know what? In my humble opinion, and I know there will be a chorus of boos, I think that's what the intellectual class did with Barack Obama. He's an intellectual. He's attractive. He's smart. He has no experience. They fell in love.
You don't think he's smarter than Sarah Palin? You don't think he's more well-versed?
No, I think he is smarter. I don't think he has more useful experience. And I think he doesn't have, to me,
If you pushed in front of Sarah Palin a map of the Middle East without the countries, could she write the names of the countries on the map? Honestly. Please. But honestly. Because a lot of conservatives are turning on her now. A lot of conservatives. This Kathleen Parker, she's a colleague of yours, okay? Conservative columnist. She said that what she should do, Sarah Palin, is get out of the race for, quote, personal reasons. No one could blame her if she said, look, I got a baby, I forgot about it.
But, the thing about her is that if you take everything away, and you get to the fact that she tried to take books off the shelf of a library, that's where I draw the line. That's what totalitarians do. And we are not yet a totalitarian country.
But she can't even bullshit. Like most politicians, if you ask them a question and they don't really want to answer, she can't even do that.
Joe Biden's idea of bullshitting is to suggest that Hillary would have been a better candidate.
I couldn't agree more. Somebody should tell the Democrats,
listen,
you're on the blue team.
Listen, this is... Bill,
Palin knows what team she's on.
I don't like to disagree with you, but this is raw sexism.
No, it's not.
No, it is. It is.
Ralph?
I very rarely say that. I very rarely say this. Listen. Joe Biden was one of the architects of the war on drugs, and putting drug addicts in jail, hundreds of thousands of them. We don't put nicotine addicts in jail. We don't put alcoholics in jail.
Ralph.
Where's the rap on him?
Yeah, but that's you're talking about two different things.
Yeah.
Of course, you're preaching to the converted on that subject.
Yeah.
Yes, he's guilty of political expedience, as is Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton gave an interview in Rolling Stone right before he left office and said, I think we should decriminalize pot. And I thought, gee, if only you were in some sort of place of power in the last 8 years. That's different. And if you're saying to me that when I say Sarah Palin is not bright, I'm saying all women are not bright, that's stupid.
When you use the word bimbo...
She's a bimbo. And a man could be a bimbo, too.
Look, We're in an era of politics where people are being asked for rookies of the year. Let's face it. What was Bush when he came from Texas?
A bimbo.
The bumbling.
A total bimbo. A bimbo with a penis, Ralph.
Reagan. What experience?